Hey everybody, this is Craig Garber. Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar. Man, I've got a very cool guest with Duane Betts, a guy who's grown up literally in steeped in music and some of the greatest music that's ever been made, as a matter of fact. So I want to talk to Duane, give you a quick summary. And also thanks to Jay Blakesberg for connecting us. And let's get into it. So Duane, if you didn't know or you didn't figure it out or somehow were unaware of this, is Dickey Betts' son. Duane started playing regularly with the Allman Brothers as a kid. He grew up split time between Sarasota, Florida and Southern California, where he played with a bunch of local bands there as well. And he eventually played alongside his dad, Dickey, in Dickey's band, Great Southern, for 10 years. In April of 2018, Duane released his first solo record called Sketches of American Music. He released 2 videos for the EP's singles, which were Taking Time and Downtown Runaround. And he also reunited with his dad, Dickey, and his band for a round tour of dates. After that, Duane, along with Devon Allman, which is Greg's son, obviously, started the Allman Betts Band. Their debut album, Down to the River, was released in 2019. It's a great record, man. I listened to it to prepare for the show. Yeah, it's really great. I mean, I will get into this, but I got to believe it was tough putting out music in the beginning, because I would have imagined you probably had a ton of pressure. Like,
yeah, I mean, it was pretty natural, really. I mean, at that point in all of our lives and our careers and stuff, I mean, I've kind of dealt with some of that, you know, earlier on. I think I did, but once you're just making music and you're having fun and it's natural and organic, you kind of you know, I mean, you're aware of the lineage and the kind of thing that you're part of, you know, but it's also kind of it's an amazing thing, you know, and it's okay. I mean, you don't have to set out to get as many awards or get as many you know, sell as many records. Not that people sell a lot of records these days anyway, but you know, I mean, you don't have to compare. It's just you're doing your thing, you know. So we just try to do our thing, you know, and be authentic, you know. That's the deal.
And it sounds great, man. And of course you could hear the influences, but it's your own music, which is really nice, you know.
Of course, we wrote those songs. I mean, you know, I mean, we covered, I think we did a Petty cover, Southern Accents, which I think was really, really amazing. Devon really sang beautifully on it, and Johnny's slide playing is great on it. And on that first record, we didn't really have a piano player, a keyboard player, definitively in the band yet. So we had Mr. Peter Levin, you know, who's played with countless folks, who's an amazing player. He played some great stuff on that record, and I mean, we're proud of it. I think it's like a good foundation for what we can do after that. It wasn't so ambitious that, you know, I think what I'm trying to say is the follow-up is really going to be epic, you know.
That's great, man. It sounds like you've done your work getting all this shit under control, because, you know, it's not easy, I'm sure, when you first start and coming out of that gate. So, you know, congratulations to you for doing the work, man.
Yeah, man. Well, we've been doing this for a long time. I mean, we're not youngsters. Hey, Willie, my dog's kind of growling. Hey, babe, you want to get Willie? He's acting up in here. I mean, really not that big of a deal.
No, it's not. It doesn't bother me, man. It's cool with me.
Well, as long as it doesn't escalate. If it stayed where it was, it'd be fine. But I don't want him interrupting me in mid thought, you know.
Yeah, man.
He can go in another room with his mama.
There you go.
Yeah.
So the record's called Down to the River. It's a really cool record.
It is. Yeah, that's the title track, a tune that Devon wrote. I helped him out with the bridge a little bit, you know, and but he pretty much, it's a real simple kind of rhythm and blues, kind of bluesy thing, but it's got a real cool thing that I think a lot of people can relate to and attach to, about just kind of like the, you know, the times we're in right now, just kind of connecting with nature and kind of going down, you know, whatever that the analogy is that you use, you know, go down to the river, go to the mountaintop or whatever, you know. It's kind of a thing that's been used, but it's been used for a reason, because it connects with people, you know.
it's cool to hear you both alternate, you singing some songs and Devon singing some songs. It's a
Yeah,
nice
and I think
record.
it's cool. I think it's cool. Long Gone is probably one of my favorite tunes, and we both each sing a verse, and that's the first one that we wrote together. We were in the back of a bus on the way down to Texas. I think we were on the way down to Dallas, maybe, or somewhere, but we were on a long bus ride, and we had talked about it, like, hey, let's get together in the dressing room or on the back of the bus. And you're on a bus with a bunch of dudes, and you haven't showered yet, and you're but you have that time, and he was like, well, let's see what we got. And we started that one, and it just kind of took off from there. And so that's when we kind of knew we had something that we wanted to do and pursue. And it wasn't, because people have been putting the idea, you should do this with this person, or you should do that, you guys should do this together. And frankly, I don't have any interest in doing anything because someone tells me I should do it. I do it because I have faith in, if it's somebody that I really trust and respect their opinion, then yeah, I'll take a look at it, of course,
Sure.
But when it feels like people just want you to do something because they want you to do it, because they would, it's like, well, if we don't want to do it, it ain't going to be worth a damn anyway.
Yeah.
And I want to do something that I like.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's good. So, yeah, we wrote that song, and I was like, man, we really are on the same page here. We really have something. And that's it, man. If it wasn't that, then I wouldn't, we wouldn't be talking about it.
Yeah, man. I like the song Autumn Breeze. It's a nice long song. It was very cool.
Yeah, Autumn Breeze is a really fantastic song. That was actually a band that I was in from the time I was about maybe 19 to 23, I want to say, around there. I was in a band called Backbone, and that was a band that I was in with Alex Orbison, Roy Orbison's son, on drums. Chris Williams was the singer and other lead guitar player. His father was a really, really acclaimed songwriter, Jerry Lynn Williams. He wrote a lot of Clapton tunes, Forever Man, Running on Faith, Pretending. Wow. He wrote for Delbert McClinton, B.B. King, the Vaughan Brothers, TikTok, that song, TikTok. I'm ticking away. We wrote that. So anyway, came from that. And then Chris had this wonderful voice, but Chris passed away in a car accident. And that's what ended that band. But that song is his song. He wrote that song, and I played that song with him in that band. And out of all the tunes that he wrote, I felt like that one was the one that I would feel most comfortable singing. Some of the other ones were cool, but I just didn't feel like they fit my voice, and like I could really, I felt like that one I could do it my own way, and it would have a really nice, it would get the feeling across really nicely, and plus it's one of my favorite songs. Forget if I could sing it or not sing it, or it's just, that's the one that I wanted to do. How about that? Yeah. But it's a really cool song.
It is. It's a really pretty song. The Allman Betts Band was touring and getting ready to go on tour before coronavirus, and I would tell you that if you like very solid guitar rock and roll with a blues tint, of course, you're going to dig the Allman Betts Band if you haven't heard of them. Man, thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I don't have a lot going on right now, so.
Man, when do you want to say something about it? Because this whole thing is so weird. Do you remember Twilight Zone? You're probably a little young.
Yeah. Of course, everybody knows Twilight Zone, but yeah, it's kind of
waiting for that
Twilight
dude to come out.
I think it's just, we're all just kind of waiting to see what happens, and being safe and following the guidelines and taking it seriously. At first, when I first heard about it, I didn't quite understand it, and I was like, I probably didn't take it as seriously as I should have at first, because we didn't know what it was exactly. And it's, it's not my job. I don't run the country or anything, so it's not my job to, but anyway, the more that, once you get a picture of what's going on, it's like, wow, man, this is this is a really unprecedented time, and it's really important to see this thing through and have some faith and do what's expected of us, to get this thing done, so we can all go back out and go to restaurants and do what we normally do and get the economy started back up. So
yeah, man.
But yeah, I mean, I think that I don't know. I mean, we could be back out on tour. I mean, I don't even want to speculate. I don't know.
I know. It's
I mean, it could be a month or two, or it could be a lot longer than that. I don't know. But I'm just grateful. I'm, like I said, I got this new puppy dog, Willie. I named him Willie, kind of after Willie Nelson, but so he's Willie Betts is his name, but he's a beautiful. My wife had the idea to get the dog, and I love dogs, but I'm on the tour so much, I'm on the road so much, and I was like, look, if you want to take care of him, and if you want to do it, let's do it. Like, and he's a mini golden doodle. He's a beautiful mini golden doodle, which of course, like, my mom has a golden doodle, and they're really cool, but man, he's really something. He's really cute.
That's a golden retriever and a poodle, right?
Yeah, he's a golden retriever and a poodle mix. Okay. But he's first generation, so he comes from here. Let me show him to you.
Yeah, man. Right, this is
he's not as much of a little puppy anymore. He's about 4 months old.
That's so funny. Yeah, man. Yeah. That's hilarious.
He's a good boy. Hi, wave. And he likes to bite, so he's teething. But he, his parents are a golden and a poodle.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because some of them they can breed to golden doodles, and so it's like second generation.
Yeah.
There's all different. I don't know. The breeders have it all down. I don't really understand it exactly. Like, there's like a P2 and a P4, and it's like F4 or F2 or something. But anyway, he's awesome.
Right on. We'll enjoy him.
Yeah.
Hey, growing up around such high quality musicians and so steeped in music, did you always know, like, you'd be a musician, or was there ever a point in time you wanted to do something else?
No, I never really wanted to do anything else. Well, the first thing that I'll say is I was a drummer first. I started playing drums. I had there's guitars around the house, and when I was really little, my dad, put a guitar in my hand. I think a little, I don't know if it was a ukulele or just a small kid's guitar, like acoustic guitar. I know the guitar. I know what it looked like, but and I just didn't dig it. I just was like, this is, the fingers, and put this and then stretch this. And I just was like, man, I want to play drums. Well, how about drums? Let's try that.
Right.
And so my dad got me a drum kit. And then I played drums for a long time and got better and better. And, we'd come home from school and put my Walkman on and play to different records. And so that was my passion from, I don't know when I started. I mean, I was probably in the second grade or first grade or something. And then I played drums, or even earlier than that, really. But I played drums up until I was about 13, and then I switched.
What made you switch?
Guitar. Well, I was playing in bands. I just started noticing that I started picking it up, like literally picking up the guitar. I was playing in bands, not professionally. I was like 13, 14, and I was playing in a band, like in my house. Like, my friends would come over, and
was this in Sarasota or out in LA?
Well, so I moved out to LA. I grew up in Sarasota, Florida. I was born in Sarasota,
right,
raised in Sarasota. Then I moved out to California when I was 12. Okay. And I lived there in Malibu, actually. And so Malibu is kind of like my hometown, away from like my birthplace hometown.
Yeah.
But I came back to live with my dad, and that's when I was homeschooled from then on. So I did 7th grade in Malibu, and then my dad was like, well, you know, for these years, you know, these kind of formative years, you know, you're turning into a young man, you know, I'd like you to be with me. And I had just gotten, you know, taken about a half a school year to get used to everything out here, and I was kind of like, man, I don't want to go back now. And then he asked me to come back, and I was kind of bummed. I was like, man, I just got used to it out here, just made all these friends. I don't want to go back to Florida now. And then he said, oh, and by the way, we'll get you a tutor, and you can just be on the road with us all the time, like all year. When we go on tour, you're coming on tour. And then I was like, that changed everything.
Yeah.
Because I loved touring. I just hadn't been, you know, it just kind of been a summer thing for a few weeks, you know, before that, for the 2 years before that, or 2 or 3 years. They got back together in 89. So 89, 90, and then 91 I was 13. And then after that, I was homeschooled. So it was like everything.
Wow.
Up until like 97. So like 91 through 97. I mean, it was like everything. I didn't really miss much.
That's good that your dad was that concerned.
Well,
about
what was
education.
the question? You asked me a question in there, and I kind of.
It was. Did you always know? Well, it was originally. Did you always know you could become a musician? And I said, what made you switch to guitar? Yeah.
Yeah. So when I came back to live with my dad, like I was saying, when I was 13, 14, I had bands with a couple friends. They'd come over during the weekends, and we'd jam in the room, in the jam room, and I'd have my drums. And then when we'd take a break, the guitars would all be sitting there, and I started picking up the guitars and started watching what they were doing. And then I started noticing that stuff started coming to me a lot easier then.
Okay.
And then I started realizing that I was learning intervals, and I had a kind of a way to pick up. I had a pretty good ear. I started kind of developing, and then I just got interested in it. And then I just started listening to records and learning everything I could learn, you know?
Yeah. Did your dad like work with you, or like?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't, you know, being a kid, I kind of wanted to learn stuff my way. And, you know, I like the challenge of learning things by myself, but I definitely, and he jokes about that too, but, no, he definitely taught me some real kind of foundation based, you know, obviously, you know, 12-bar blues stuff. I mean, to begin with, you know, 12-bar blues, Chuck Berry kind of stuff. And then as it went on, you know, then he'd always kind of show me little things, you know.
Right.
But I mean, I think a lot of what I picked up was just by listening to him play like every night. Yeah. And I think a lot of it is just kind of inherent, like instinctive genetic stuff that you kind of we were talking about that before. I mean, you just have that kind of stuff genetically. So, but I listen to Warren every night too, you know, so hearing Warren every night.
That's pretty, I mean, just being exposed to that level of music at such a young age, it's like, I mean, that's amazing. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, they're one of the great bands, you know. I mean, just the band. I mean, you talk about a great band like a band that has like an attitude and has great rock and roll songs, and there's that kind of like, oh, they're great live. Like they have this really, they're great to see, like whatever, the New York Dolls, like they're a great band. Like, but then you have a great band that, like, without the song, I mean, they're just a great band. Like you put those musicians in a room and wow, that's a great band. You know, those musicians together. So, yeah, they're definitely a great band.
Off the
either way.
What band has two guitarists like Warren and your dad? I mean, that doesn't.
Well, I mean,
doesn't exist.
Well, those were the guitarists at that point, so I think that's why you mentioned those two, as opposed to Duane or. But yeah, I mean, those were the two guitarists when I was coming up and I was around, and yeah, I mean, they just kind of. I don't know, man. It kind of goes without saying.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Totally get it. You don't need to go on any longer. between 19 and 25, you played for a bunch of bands, as you said, one of them Backbone in LA.
Yeah,
What did you get out of that experience?
man, that was like the golden age of like old Malibu. Like it was like the tail end of, I mean, it was like really, really a special time. And a lot of fun. It was like this tribe everywhere we played. People, I mean, it was like a traveling tribe. It was like, oh, we're here tonight, and then be 250 people at this house, and then it was like, we're playing in town in 2 weeks, and then everybody. It was a really fun time, and it was a different time, and there was a lot of fun, and there was a lot of partying, and it kind of it was still kind of fun, and there was some kind of really dark stuff kind of happening, but it was not really dark yet, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean? It was a really fun time, and it was anybody that was a part of it knows what I'm talking about.
All right. Yeah.
It was like the summer of love. It's like the summer of '99 in Malibu. Like people, it's legendary.
That's cool. That's not a bad thing.
No, it was great. A lot of beautiful girls, a lot of beach time, a lot of loud amplifiers, fast hot rods, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Like old Malibu stuff,
You played with your dad in his band, Great Southern, for quite some time.
Yeah.
Before stepping out on your own. I was curious, what prompted you to do that? And I also give you a lot of credit because I would imagine, we kind of alluded to this earlier, that initially people probably tended to compare you with him, which I gotta believe had been frustrating because you're not him. You're your own person. You got your own identity. And you said that you worked through that. I was curious how you managed to handle all that, especially as a younger person, because that's not easy.
Well, I mean, really, I started playing with them. I was in my mid-20s. I was in a band called White Star, which we had done a record for Atlantic and done a lot of touring, and that thing kind of was reaching its kind of end point, I felt like, and it kind of needed to kind of, the phase that we were in, it needed to kind of end. There was some kind of drug issues with, I don't want. I mean, I had some issues like that. I've been sober now for almost 3.5 years, but
dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, but
congratulations.
But so I mean, it wasn't just me, but it wasn't everybody,
Yeah.
But it was a few of us. Let's put it that way. There was some shenanigans going on, but the main thing is that I just needed a break. I needed to get out of LA. I needed to I needed a change, So I went back, and that's when I moved back to Florida. And my dad said, "Well, why don't you join my band?" And then I started playing with my dad, and then I learned a lot, And I kind of, for a while, I mean, I kind of didn't know what the next thing I was going to do was, and I just was enjoying playing with my dad. I knew I was going to do something, but I wasn't really in a hurry at first, and I kind of didn't really know, to be honest. And then I played in that band for many years, and then I moved back out here in my early 30s, and then I started doing making connections again with everybody, and started getting things together, and then the rest is history. I mean, I've kind of been doing that, and now I've gotten to this point. So
you were you sounded like really relaxed about, and I give you credit because I've never been like, I mean, I'm like this now, but I'm 56, took a long time, like about not being sure of what, you said, hey, I was enjoying myself. I knew I wouldn't be doing this forever, but I was basically, it sounded like you were just enjoying the moment for now and not putting pressure on yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I think at that point I was probably feeling just kind of taking it for what it was. And I mean, I knew that I had this really awesome gig, and that the music that we were playing was really special, and that they were times that I was going to look back on and really, really value, way more than I could ever imagine at the time. But I was still conscious of that, even though I might have been going through my own issues and stuff, and not been really sure of what it was I wanted to do next, even though I knew I wanted to do something outside of playing in that band, because that band wasn't working. I mean, we were doing 40 shows a year or whatever, maybe, and then less and less and less as it went on. But when I came back out to California, and then I still was playing with my dad, and I mean, I played up until the last tour he did in 18.
Yeah.
In 2018, those last few shows. I mean, I was in the band then, and if he did anything again, I would be in the band too. Right. But yeah, I mean, when I came back out here, then that's when I kind of I started hustling and making old connections and doing some session work and playing, just trying to do as much as I could. And then that kind of led to when I got the call from Taylor from Dawes to do to take that gig, and that was really crucial in my development of kind of getting to where I am now. I mean, I really think so.
In what way?
So, well, it just kind of got me out there, back on the road with something outside of my dad's band on that level, and they already had developed a nice following and had relationships with a lot of really great artists, really talented. I mean, a lot of the festivals they play are with people that are some of my favorite people, that I'm, and yeah, I mean, they're great guys. I mean, I've known them. I've known Taylor from Malibu, and Blake Mills, a guy by the name of Blake Mills. They were high school buddies and had a band together. And when I was in White Star, they were younger and they had their band. And so yeah, it was kind of a natural thing for them to hit me up. And especially because I think the record that they were doing at that time was Dave Rawlings produced it, and it was more or less, I think, recorded live, and it had some extended stuff. It was kind of like that kind of a thing.
Right.
And they thought of me for that because that's kind of what I come from.
Yes.
So so yeah, I toured on that record. It was a year and a half or 2 years maybe of touring with them. And that was a really cool thing.
So it was like a really good transition to sort of get you back into doing something outside of working with your dad and back into mainstream.
Yeah.
LA.
I think
that's good.
That was really cool. And I mean, I'd done a bunch of other things in between all that. I wasn't like but I wasn't making records with a band. I wasn't in a band. I was doing some stuff here, playing a gig, doing some session work with this person, flying to, I mean, I doing a fly-in date with this person, sitting in a lot, I mean, I was sitting in with everybody. And I remember I was in Florida and my friend G Love was opening up for Jack Johnson, and I went to go see G, and then I saw Jack after the show, and he goes, "Man, if I would have known you were here, I would have asked you to sit in," because it was after the show. And I was like, "Damn!" I was like, "Well, where are you playing tomorrow?" And then he's like, asked his tour manager, and his tour manager just, he comes over and he goes. And then he looks back at me and goes, "We're playing in West Palm Beach." He goes, "Is that too far?" And I go, "Not if I'm playing."
So you went out? You flew out to West Palm Beach?
Yeah. I sat in with Jack. I mean, that's was cool. Around that time. That was during the time I was in Florida and I was playing. So I was doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
I wasn't like I did a few one-offs with. I played in Dubai with Puddle of Mud. Was another thing I did. They're that's friends wild. Of mine, and they had me on like they were doing one-offs, and I did like 8 or 10 shows with them, these one-off gigs, and then I mean, I kind of did a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then but it wasn't like I had a band, because I was always used to having a band all through my 20s. Like even after that, I mean, I was in these bands, and it's like, we're making a record and we're playing here. They're like, our band is playing here. So then it was just kind of, but again, those years are, I mean, I'm going to look back on some of those times as they're so precious, and the value of having that time, was amazing. So I wouldn't change any of it.
It's funny. I got referred to G Love recently, and I haven't reached out to him, but now like everybody I've talked to like 3 people in a row mentioned, so I've got to that's the universe telling me like, okay, man, just.
No, man, he's great. I've known him since I was, I mean, we could go into stories about people. I mean, I've been knowing G since like 1990 or something crazy like that, and then I didn't see him for years, and then I'd see him again, and then I was, I sat in with him at Coachella one year, back when Coachella was still kind of like a one weekend, kind of like everybody in LA goes out there. It wasn't like the worldwide phenomenon that it is now. But I sat in with him at Coachella, and I mean, he's just a really talented, really super dude, So I'm glad to be able to call him my friend,
That's cool.
And he actually, I just was texting with him yesterday, Devin and I and him. He texted both of us just to check in, and yeah, Devin and I and everybody in our band loves G. And anyway, so the love affair between the world and G Love. We love you, G
Love. The other thing you said about making memories, I would bet, and I'm sure he's told you, as a dad, I can't imagine how rewarding that is. That must have been for your dad to have that memory.
Yeah, we did some really great shows together, man. And I mean, I'm trying to think of so many memories, and really triumphant, glorious moments, what were had, you know what I mean? And it wasn't like I mean, not every show was memorable as others, but we definitely, man, we played, we went over to Japan together, and we played over in Europe a couple times, and did some really cool stuff. And then, I mean, it was pretty awesome. It's awesome playing with your dad, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
like, do that.
Well, especially I mean, I've done like situational things with each of my kids, but playing music where you're connecting at that, not just, you're connecting on a spiritual level, sort of.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man.
I mean, he's one of the great players, I mean, he's one of the great stylists of rock and roll electric guitar, so he's one of my biggest influences and heroes, definitely.
Tell me, to whatever extent you're comfortable, the most important lessons that you learned from him, musically or otherwise, and it can be things you learned to do or not to do, or in music, whatever you like, man.
Well, I think his appreciation of nature, and kind of how nature kind of teaches you everything you need to know. Like, that's kind of a cool way to look at things, and I think he kind of instilled that in me from a young age. Like, I remember he told me when I was trying to learn how to play, he told me to play to nature, to just go out and play to a river, watch the river flowing, and emulate that. If there's something that you want to say and you want to say it and make somebody feel like this, and you want it to be smooth and more delicate and sensual, or whatever it is, I mean, then watch how an eagle flies, or watch how the river flows and how it moves naturally, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I mean, it's kind of, I think what he really said, I don't remember him saying this, but my stepmom says that he said, go play to nature and try not to offend it, which is kind of, if there's a river flowing beautifully and you're playing you're playing to the river, you know. I mean, that's the idea.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yeah, and I mean, I think just the idea of integrity and being, you know, a man of your word and being honest, you know, being a stand-up person, you know, stand up for what you believe in and don't take shit from anybody, you know, don't be afraid to speak your mind.
Yeah,
You know,
man.
I get in trouble for that though sometimes, because that you don't want to be talking back to your lady or something like that.
That could be problematic.
You don't want to speak your mind too much.
No, you just got to figure out how to say it.
Yeah.
That's all, man.
Yeah.
Anything you're looking forward, assuming life as we knew it gets back together soon, what are you looking forward to doing over the next few years or even longer term, if you have a vision for that?
Yeah, well, we just made this record. I'm really excited about this new record. I'm gonna put that one out.
Yeah, man. When is it?
And get back to touring when it's safe and when it's responsible, and you know, and
talk about the record, man. Why are you so excited?
That. Oh man, really I just feel like it's a big step forward. It's like the first record was really cool and it was great, but this one's got like the spectrum of influences, like the array of colors and the whole deal. It's like, yeah, we listen to that. Well, we love that. Why don't we do something that sounds like that? Why don't we don't have to just stay like here? Like, let's do, you know, I mean, you don't want it to be so all over the place that it's not a body of work, you know, but you want it, it's like, yeah, dude, let's do something that, let's try some other shit, you know?
Yeah.
So
that's important. What you just said. You don't want to do something that's not a body of work, because a lot of times people do that. It's like you know, there's so much in it. Like you never really.
Yeah.
An album's supposed to be like a road trip, right? And if you're going,
no, this one's good, man. I think it's this one. We got a good one with this one, you know. And I'm happy that we didn't put it out and then this thing hit. And then we had to go off tour right after we put it out. So it's like we kind of have some ammunition and some money in the bank that we're gonna
tour,
you know, so
is there a name? Can you talk? Is there a name?
I can't really say the name yet. Well, I mean, maybe I could, but I think the record company, I think I tried to do that for something else the other day and they told me not to. So I'm just gonna go with that. But it's a cool record, and I mean, there's an instrumental on it. It's a lot longer. You know what I mean? I think there's 12 tracks on it, whereas the other
that's
one
a big record nowadays.
12 or 13.
That's a very big record for
I think that's actually a double record, you know, as far as vinyl goes. But yeah, man, it's cool. I mean, it's got some really great rock and roll, just gritty rock and roll kind of Stonesy elements, and then it's got some. But then it goes into, you know, it has some really happy kind of happy majory kind of moments, you know, with, you know, then there's some real haunting kind of stuff. There's some loud kind of, there's a tune that has a real kind of crazy horse kind of vibe to it with really loud kind of brash guitars. I mean, there's some different stuff going on it. So it's cool.
Very cool, man.
Yeah.
Is there any things that you could think of that you did that at the time maybe were out of your comfort zone, but they turned out to be really good breakthroughs for you?
Yeah, I mean, all the time. I mean, those are the best things to do.
Right.
I mean, I've been, you know, I just started, you know, I was always a guitar player and I wrote a little bit, you know, and I've always written a little bit. Probably not as much as I really should have. I don't, you know, if I had one regret, I mean, I don't want to regret anything because I think I'm right where I need to be now. You know, sometimes I get a little, you know, uncomfortable because I know I kind of went through what I went through and I wasn't working as much in those years. Like I was kind of like waiting to see what was going to happen, you know, and then, but it led me to where I am now. So it's perfect, you know?
Yeah.
You know, like in my late 20s. Like, I was like, those were some of, you know, in your late 20s, you're supposed, you know, and I was like kind of just waiting for a tour to start with my dad, you know, but that's okay. I'm saying it, you know, I mean, I'm being honest, you know, I kind of like, but, what was the question?
The question was, were there any things that were out of your comfort zone?
Oh, I know where you're coming. Yeah. I mean, all the time, being asked to go up and sing a song for a Muscle Shoals tribute, and somebody saying, you know, I did a thing at Brooklyn Bowl for Muscle Shoals, and that Scott Sherrard put together.
Yeah, I had Scott on here a long time ago.
With some other folks, and there's some really great people involved. Lisa Fisher and Vernon Reed, and like, just the list, like some really top cats, you know, involved in it. And he wanted me to sing this cowboy song, Please Be With Me. And it's a beautiful song.
Yeah, I know.
And it's not like I thought I couldn't sing it, but I'm not a singer. What I was saying is I was always a guitar player, and I started singing kind of later in the game, like really singing like in front of a mic, in front of people. Like, my dad basically forced me, and I was like not very good, you know, but you have to do it to get better.
Yeah.
And then I kind of really just started doing it more regularly in like the last 5 years, 4 or 5 years, really.
Yeah.
So he wanted me to sing this cowboy song, and he's like, oh, by the way, yeah, the show's tomorrow, but we're doing this thing live on over at Relics, a live stream today. So why don't you come and sing it today? And I'm like sitting there with the lyrics, trying to learn it. And yeah, it's not, the point I'm making is it's not a big deal. And I did a great job on it. But was it out of my comfort zone? Yes, it was out of my comfort zone. To do it that quickly and turn it around. But then you do stuff like that, and you're like, well, yeah, it sounds good. Of course it sounds good. He wouldn't have asked me to do it if he didn't think it was, you know.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, you know, just, I mean, sitting in with the Allman Brothers for the first time was way out of my comfort zone, because I'd sat in on drums before, but there's another drummer. You're behind the drums, so you kind of have a couple things that you're not hiding behind, but you're shielded.
Yeah.
And
not
then,
out in front.
It was time to my dad, it was the first show of the tour in Vail, Colorado. I was like 15, and we were staying in Denver, and the band was playing Red Rocks the next night, so we were staying near Red Rocks. So we get on the tour bus, and I intentionally forgot my guitar in the hotel room, thinking that would get me out of sitting in, because I wanted to sit in, but I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I was scared that just the pressure of it. And I got on the bus, and he's like, you know, the bus is rolling, and he goes, yeah, so he taps me on the knee, and he goes, yeah, so you're going to sit in with us tonight, right? And I go, oh man, I forgot my guitar in the hotel room. And he goes, oh, that's okay. We've got plenty of guitars. You'll be fine. And it's like, I was just like, damn, like, why didn't I think of that? But yeah, and then I sat in, and it was fine. But yeah, I mean, that's like going out of your comfort zone is the best thing.
Yeah,
you know?
It is. It's funny you said that. Most musicians, there aren't many musicians who I've spoken to that have regrets, and they're the same pretty much mindset as you. Is, look, of course I've screwed up, but I'm here today, and I wouldn't have been here. But the two things that is often mentioned is exactly what you said. I wish I started writing earlier. I wish I really took my voice seriously earlier.
Well, I didn't say I wish I would have taken my voice seriously earlier. I just, I mean, the writing thing, yeah, you have to sit down and work at writing. You can't just wait for, you have to wait for the spirit to come over you. And when the spirit's over you, you know it, and you got to get it while it's hot.
Right.
But you also, I think the really great writers that I look up to, they sit and like work at it too, you know? And so, yeah, that's something that I need to work on a little bit, you know? I mean, if I was going to critique myself, I would say that I'd like to be a little more steadfast, and the great thing is that you can talk to some of those people that you really admire, and ask them about it, you know? I mean, I'm proud of my contributions. You know, I mean, I have some really good ideas, and I've written some songs, but I mean, these guys like Ryan Bingham and you know, and
Warren Haynes.
Warren's written some good songs. Yeah. You know, I mean, you gotta talk to, it's good to be able to ask people like that.
Yeah.
How they go about things.
Definitely.
So that's all I meant. But as far as my voice, I didn't know. I was always in a band that had a singer, and I wasn't really ever thinking like I want to be a singer. So
right.
I think I'm right where I need to be. I really do. As far as my singing goes and stuff, I mean, I'm not Marvin Gaye or, you know what I mean? I just kind of get up there and deliver the goods. And
it's not, man, your voice sounded great. It was fine.
Yeah.
Fit every one of the songs that you sang there, man. It was
Thanks,
just right.
man.
Yeah,
Appreciate
man.
it.
And I'd say nothing if I didn't mean it.
Yeah.
What guitar? Let's talk about gear for a few minutes. What's your go-to guitar right now, and what other two would round out your top three?
Right now I'm really I use I have a 61 335 I used a lot on the record, and it's one that my dad had, and I mean it's his guitar. I mean it's our guitar. I mean, I have it now, so we kind of share it,
yeah,
you know.
Of course.
But yeah, I mean it's it's ridiculous. It sounds so good, and I used it on quite a bit of the record. I mean, not like 90% of it, but you know, I don't know, 60% at least.
The new record is coming out.
Yeah, the new record. So that one I really enjoy playing. But my main guitar is my Gold Top, which is one of my dad's signature models. It's the prototype of the signature model, and it's just a nice sounding guitar. You know, feels good, sounds good, looks cool.
What is that reissue of?
It's a 57. Okay. I think it's after a 57.
Yeah. So it's got P90s.
No. P90s were in 57s.
I thought P90s
I think
were in
50s. I think, well, I don't know. We'll have to call Johnny Statula.
I don't know.
I think the P90s were a little earlier than that, I think. But I might be wrong. I don't know. I'm not an expert on all that stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So you got the 61 335, your dad's signature model. What would be number 3?
I've got a Strat, a hardtail Strat. It's an old one. I mean, I hate to just keep saying all these like old guitar. I mean, you don't have to have a 1961 335 to sound great. You know what I mean? But that's just, I have access to them, and they sound great, and they're awesome, and I want to use them. And
yeah, what are you gonna do? Say I don't want to use this vintage guitar.
I mean? But yeah, you don't need a goddamn 60. You know, I mean, you just get a new one, and it'll sound great. You know.
Yeah.
You know what you're doing. You know.
Absolutely.
But yeah, those guitars. So the Strat's a 56 hardtail.
That's cool. I think I saw you playing that online.
That one, I use that one more for like kind of subtle stuff. I like kind of Knopfler-y, Garcia kind of. I don't use it as like a Strat blues player type of thing. I don't. That's not my thing.
Sure.
I mean, not that I wouldn't, but I really love it for the subtle, like the volume swell kind of pedal steel kind of stuff, and with some reverb. I kind of use it more for that type of thing.
And what do you play out of generally, amp wise?
I use a Super.
Okay.
Blackface Smith, like a 65, I think it is. And you know, right now it sounds great. I mean, it's just the tubes are set right on it, and I got actually it's one that Derek sent me. He gifts people Supers. I think he probably has 100 of them in his house or something.
Wow.
But he sent it to me years ago after I sat in. I was with my dad, and my dad was sitting in with them at the Beacon, and I sat in on a couple songs, and we had a conversation. He said, "You need one of these," and he sent it to me, but he didn't tell me he was going to send it to me. He just told me that he needed an address for me to send a package.
That's cool.
And then I didn't ask what it was, and my mind was going like, ding, 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 ding. And I didn't ask like, what are you sending? But then he asked again. He goes, he texted me and goes, "Are you sure that this address is good for a large package?" And I knew, and I just said, "Man, I'm not going to ask what it is, but I have an idea." And yeah, so it came, and so I've had that one for a while, but it's retubed. It's been gone through, and the you know, he pulls out that preamp tube from the other channel, that so it sounds really great right now. That, I mean, that's how I got it, and so that's how I learned about that, and I just kept it like that. So
that's awesome. I hope Derek Chucks asked me for my address one day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not likely to happen.
He's a sweetheart. I mean, he's really one of my favorite people, and obviously he's just from another planet as far as his playing goes.
Man, you know, I saw a couple of shows at the Beacon. Isn't that like just the most amazing place to play?
It is, yeah.
Sound wise,
it's a definite, the history there, and the sound wise, and the feeling, and the everything about it. It's not a real I mean, you know, you're at the Beacon when you're there. I mean, it's not like it's like playing in Hershey, Pennsylvania at the Performing Arts Center down the street from the diner, you know.
No, it's freaking, I mean, it's theater on 72nd and Broadway.
And it's like, okay, we're at the Beacon, and it kind of has that, there's kind of a pressure to it, and then you do it, and you feel, you know, fantastic when you're done. You're just like, wow, we just, you know. So yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I've had the privilege or honor of playing on that stage quite a few times now. So
it's awesome, man.
With different folks, you know, I'm sitting in with obviously the brothers, and then playing there a few times with my dad, playing there with Dawes, and now this band that we have now has played there 3 times. I think we've played there.
Phenomenal, man.
Yeah, I mean, and we were, you know, and then we just did an Allman family revival, which is something that Devon started for his dad's birthday. And this year we did well, it was last year, because it was the end of the end of last year in December. We did the Fillmore Mission Ballroom in Denver, and we did the Beacon.
That's awesome.
So we did 3 this year, and we had, you know, some really great guests. You know, I think Eric Krasno, who you've had on, he was. I mean, there's so many people. You know, Robin Zander from Cheap Trick. We did a couple Cheap Trick songs with Robin Zander. I mean, it doesn't get a lot cooler.
That's pretty cool, man.
That's pretty fun, you know.
Yeah. Playing Cheap Trick with Robin Zander. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Surrender, you know, we did. Yeah, so it's a fun time. It's a good time.
Good plays. This is almost an unfair question. Tell me you've played with like a million of wonderful people. Who are some of the favorite musicians you enjoyed playing with?
Oh man.
I know, this is like,
I don't know, because I mean, that's kind of tough, because, well, Phil Lesh, I mean, I played with either Bobby or Phil. I mean, I love the Grateful Dead as far as like the way they play together. Well, I played with Phil when my dad played with him, so that's a little different, because I was only there because he had my dad playing with him, and I was kind of my dad's right-hand man and knew all the harmonies, and, you know. But recently I played with
hey, Duane, the screen. Yeah,
sorry.
No,
recently cool. Recently I played with at Locken. I played with Bob Weir, and you know, Neil Casal was in there.
Man, I had Neil.
Eric, you know, I mean, I don't know. I think I'd have to think about that.
Yeah.
And try to remember. But man,
it's tragic, man. I had Neil on the show literally 2 weeks before he died. It was like,
well, I was with him. That was the last gig. That was a few days before. So
wow.
I spent the whole weekend with him, and I didn't know him very well. I'd met him, and I really respected him.
Yeah.
And then we got to really hang out, and I got to kind of like bro out with him a little bit and talk.
Sure.
And then that happened. So yeah. But man, I'll tell you what, I got to play with Elvis Costello. That was cool.
That's cool. Where'd you play with him?
With Dawes, we backed Elvis Costello at Newport Folk Festival.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah,
That's
I've gotten
really
to
cool.
play. I've been on stage. I love Brittany Howard. I played at Newport as well. Another year we played. I think Taylor and I and Griff got up and did Night Moves with Alabama Shakes.
Yeah.
So technically I played with her. I mean, I think she's amazing. Blake Mills.
Yeah.
Blake Mills is amazing. Is one of my Jackson Brown. I've had the pleasure playing with.
Wow. How was that?
mean,
how did that?
I played with Jackson at a benefit in Los Angeles at this place called Largo. And this was like 4 years ago, but I know some of the folks I know out here are friends with him, and you know, I've been kind of around him a few times, and you know, the thing that Jonathan Wilson does out here, that I don't think he did it last year, but the Christmas thing he does at the Troubadour, he has a bunch of really great people come. And we did Shine On You Crazy Diamond with Dawes with him.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, he has Bob Weir, he had Jeff Lynne from ELO, he had, I mean, there's a lot of really cool people. I mean, I've had the pleasure of playing with, but yeah, that's a few of them.
Yeah. Give me your Desert Island Discs, man. Top 3, just for now. No.
I mean, well, if I was on an island, I'd want to hear. It depends where you're at. I mean, I'd want to hear some reggae, like some dope like reggae playlist, or like you know, like real, like the real Jamaican stuff. I love that compilation. There's kind of a compilation of a couple records. I forget what it's called, of the Bob Marley stuff, but it's like is it Uprising and one of those other ones? I don't know all the names or anything, but man, some Bob Marley, you know, and not like the greatest hits. There's one I'm not going to look it up right now, but there's this one compilation of like 2 records that's just that I love, and then maybe some Motown. You know, I mean, the Motown stuff is some of the best music. Maybe some Miles Davis, like some Kind of Blue, maybe some Stones, some I don't know, some Layla, Derek and the I don't know.
That's cool, man. You got it. A lot of people taking Kind of Blue to their Desert Island.
Kind of Blue is it's good for when you wake up, it's good for dinner, it's good for, you know, when you're making dinner, it's good for after dinner, it's good, you know.
Do you cook or something? Are you a cook? Is it cooking?
No, man. My wife is, though, man, and she's good. She's been cooking up a storm. She does it right.
There you go. I see all these things on Facebook or whatever. People are like, "Oh my God, I'm putting on so much weight. I can't get out of the house. I can't get to the gym or something. I'm just eating all day. I'm baking."
Oh man, yeah. Well, you got to get out of the house. I mean, you can't. I mean, I don't think you're gonna die if you walk out your door.
Oh,
I mean,
God, no. Yeah, I go out every day, man.
I mean, there is a point where it's like, you know, it's good to follow medical advice and be responsible and stay away from people and not go where you're not supposed to go, and don't drive out to the, you know, mountains and go into this national park when it's, you know, but it's like, go outside, you know, get some fresh air.
Gotta go outside.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of it's like, I can't go outside. I mean, you know, but anyway, we'll get through it.
What's the best decision you ever made, Duane?
Oh man. I think like
I'd be lying if I said that doesn't happen every time someone's.
Well, I'm gonna say getting sober, actually, because if I didn't get sober, I would have never met my wife. So
that's are you can you talk about that for a minute? Are you comfortable talking about getting sober?
Yeah.
What I guess to the extent, and I ask because I'm a I'm not a guy who's gotten sober, but I am a firm believer in so many of the principles that like 12-step programs teach. And we've had so many people just as normal coping skills that, like, I don't know why they don't teach that in school. Like, you know, that's some like really vital information in there. But to the extent you're comfortable, what was the trigger for you to finally say, hey man, I gotta get sober?
I mean, well, I mean, life is hard, man. That's like a full-time job. If you're, I mean, you can't even get off the ground, like, let alone, I mean, my dad would look at me and he'd say, like, son, you know, we had our issues and stuff, and we were doing a lot of that stuff too, but, you know, we had already kind of made it, and we were, you know, we were like, one of the, you know, you want to give yourself a chance to actually get started, and then you can, then you don't want to fuck it up, of course, after you get it going. But I mean, at least give yourself a chance, you know?
Yeah.
So it was, that was, you know, I mean, it's just one of those things. You got to go through what you got to go through, and I wouldn't change any of it, because that's the story, and that gives me the value that I have, from the perspective I have, is that not a lot of, I mean, a lot of people have gone through it, but they, it's a serious thing, man, you know?
Oh, very
so,
serious.
you know, it's a disease, and a lot of people die from it, you know? And so I feel like I'm one of the fortunate ones, and I just take it. I mean, I can be really moody, and I can lash out, and I have a lot of character defects, but I try to, I mean, every day when I go to bed and I know that I'm not in the position I used to be in, it's been a great day, you know?
Thank you.
So,
man. That's very cool of you to share. Thank you, man. I've had so many people, you're helping out, because I've had so many people share stories, and I get tons of feedback from listeners.
Yeah, man. I mean, if I wasn't, I mean, I'm at a point where it's like, if I'm going to talk to somebody for an hour or whatever, however long, and I'm just not being real about like who I am or what my values are, like where I come from, you know, because that's part of my story, you know, that little, you know, how I went through it. And then I was in my late 20s, and I kind of was like lost, you know, I kind of didn't know what I wanted to do, and I was kind of struggling with that, and I knew I needed to kind of handle that, and it took a while to handle that. And then I kind of handled it, and then kind of stumbled, and then, you know, but you know, you can just do what you can do today. You can't look back or look ahead or anything like that. And so I'm just grateful that we have the chance to play this music and make people feel good. And that's kind of like what it's all about. I mean, you have to make some money to eat, and, you know, I mean, you have to make a living. And
of course.
Making a living is good, but
very good.
It feels good to go out and play music, and, you know, have people feeling good, you know. That's what we all do it for, you know.
Yeah. Thank you, man. That was very kind of you to share that story. Appreciate it.
Oh, gee, thanks.
No, I mean, it's, you know, I think it is an important part of anybody that got sober, but it's not always easy to talk about it and share it. So thanks, man. I don't take stuff like that for granted.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay. So let me follow this up with a really tough question. What do you like most about yourself?
I think that I know at heart that I'm just a real giving person. I don't really care. Like, I'll give, you know, the old saying, like, I'll give the shirt off my back, you know?
Yeah.
I think I'm authentic, you know, and I think I have the ability to be honest, you know, with people and try to help out the situation. But yeah, I think that I really just want people to be happy. If like somebody, you know, stole like something that I left out on the street or something, I'd be like, well, you know, they needed it more than me, and I shouldn't have left it out on the street, you know. So rather than get mad and damn them to hell, you know.
Yeah. But it's not going to help you anyway. So
no.
Best childhood memory?
Oh man, childhood memories, man. We lived on the bay in Sarasota, going fishing with my dad on the boat, catching shiners with the cast net,
Yeah.
going across the street, catching mullet with the cast net, real Florida, you know,
Yeah.
like old Florida stuff, you know?
Sure.
Yeah, I had some really good memories down there. And like when MTV first came out, like on a Saturday afternoon, hearing like, there's certain songs that come on that bring me back to like the glistening of the sun on the water with the sailboats in the distance. And
Yeah.
like,
You lived right on the bay?
Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic by the Police.
Yeah.
That video, oh man, I love that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Did you live on the bay? On the
Yeah.
water? That's really cool.
Yeah.
I love it down there, man. It's only an hour from here. We go down there once in a while.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're in
I'm in
where
Tampa.
are you at?
I'm in Lutz, which is Tampa basically.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah. You have any hobbies outside of music, Duane?
Yeah, I mean I like to go hiking. I like yoga. What do I like to do? Do I have any hobbies? Archery. I like I need to learn how to cook.
That's the number one hobby for musicians.
Golfing. I'd like to get back into my golf game.
Mm-hmm.
I used to golf. I think long walks on the beach. But no, I don't know. I probably should get some more hobbies.
Yeah, well, it's kind of now's a tough time unless you do something
reading.
Like cooking. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get into a good book every now and then. I'm not a huge reader, but I like to read a little bit.
Most musicians read, actually.
Yeah.
Musicians are pretty smart in general. 2 more questions, man. What's the best advice you've ever been given, and who gave it to you?
The best advice, man. I don't know. My mom gives me great advice. My mom and my dad have both given me great advice, and my wife.
How long have you been married?
We got married September 27th.
Oh, dude, you're newlywed. Congratulations.
I think just let go, man. To just don't try to control everything. Like when I get worked up because this person, you know, you start reading into things and you think that this person's thinking this or this person did this that bothered, you know, my mom just has a way of defusing all of that for me.
Yeah.
And just let go and let God, you know?
Yeah, totally.
And, but my dad probably, has given me really great advice. And again, it's like the thing when you asked me who about the musicians I played with, and it took me I kind of just talked around in circles for about 2 minutes, and then
I don't think it was I think you answered the question pretty much.
No, I did. But what I'm saying is it took me a while to get to it because I had to buy time. But then once I kind of went in, like, I don't really know, like, da, 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 da. And then I started coming to me. And then I had some pretty cool ones. But no, I mean, my dad just as far as in life, again, that thing about just always, you know, treat people with respect and no matter where they come from or their class or their creed or religion, any of that. Yeah. I mean, I was raised in a household that really, that was really strongly, you know, taught, you know, all that stuff, that the values of that. And so, yeah, I would say that kind of stuff.
I always say you could tell more. I'd rather see how someone treats the waiter than their boss, sort of. Because you know, that always gives you like a lot of insight into what's going on with someone.
Yeah. I mean, and it's okay. I mean, like I was watching, I mean, if you have, or just be honest. If you're like, if it's somebody that is like somebody, you know, and you're like, look, I'm only here for 5 minutes and I have to talk to this guy, and just say, look, I'd really like to talk to you, but I can't because it's more important for me to talk. I mean, if you're just straight up about it, then that's cool. But yeah, I mean, you know, you don't like to see that kind of snobbery, you know,
I fucking hate it.
Where people are, you know, I mean, it's kind of cool to be like a marijuana snob or a coffee snob or something like that. Like that's a different kind of snob. Like, we're all into that, you know.
Right. No, but being
like when you're looking down on people and treating people poorly because they don't come from what you think. I mean, we all come from whatever. You know, so.
And man, last question. Biggest change, and thank you for everything, man. You've been really cool to talk to, very open. So
cool, man. I hope so. Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
Biggest change in your personality over, say, the last 5 years, and how much of that was deliberate and how much of that was just a process, a part of aging?
Man, I think I'm just kind of more settled into a good routine. And a lot of it has to do with my wife, you know, keeping me straight and keeping me in line. And I mean, really, I've just been working so hard that I think there's a certain element of being grounded in that, even though you're never in the same place. You know, you're just kind of used to flying by the seat of your pants, and there's something actually that works with that to kind of ground you, actually, if that makes any sense. But
yeah, man.
But I mean, I think I've had, being on tour so much, I think I've kind of, you know, I think I've kind of developed like a conscious effort to kind of be cognizant of my mood. So when I'm around people, I know what to do to kind of get myself where I need to be as far as my mood. Because like when I wake up, I mean, there's things that we need to do as humans, like things that I need to do, like to feel as good as I know I can feel. You know, if I go out and do a hike, I'm going to feel great afterwards. You know, if I go out and get some sun on my face and get some sweat a little and move around. So I try to do all that stuff. And that's a big difference, you know, between
self-care is so important.
Between that and where I was, you know, back in my using days, I mean, I only had one job, you know. It was to make sure I wasn't sick, you know.
Yeah.
Make sure I get my medicine. but yeah, so I think I'm a little more grounded and a little more patient, and I don't, sometimes I fly off the handle at some of the smaller things, and the bigger things I handle a lot better, and which is kind of surprising, but
that's all right, man. We're all work in progress, right?
Or not fly off the handle. Like, I don't fly off the handle, but I think I get agitated, like in my own head, I get agitated, and it's like, then something else happens and I'm like, oh, it'll be all right. Like, don't worry about that. You know?
That's good, man.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, thank you very much. Let me tell people where to find you, what you got going on. And I really appreciate you being so sincere. I'd much, you know, I know you said earlier, you said I sometimes get in trouble for saying what's on my mind. I'd much prefer dealing with some, you know, don't piss on my back and tell me it's raining out, you know, just tell me you know, just like say it, man.
Well, I respect people like that. I think everybody that knows me and everybody that I know, everybody kind of, everybody's kind of that way. I expect everybody to be that way within people, people that I'm really close to. People that I'm really close to, I expect them to be that way with me.
Yeah,
don't sugarcoat it, and then really you have a complaint about something. If you don't like it, tell me. I'm asking it. You know?
Absolutely.
So I think we have a really good understanding with our band and all the people, you know, in my family. Like, that's kind of the way it's always been. You know, we don't have a problem communicating.
Yeah,
honestly.
no other way. So okay, first of all, check out the Allman Betts Band, the last record, Down to the, very cool record. I'm really excited and looking forward to the new album. It's allmanbetts.com or is it allmanbettsband.com?
allmanbettsband.com.
Go to allmanbettsband.com. There's a new album coming out later this year. Go to duanebetts.com, and he has, you have a really cool limited edition blue splatter vinyl.
Yeah, I did my my EP that I put out a couple years ago. We have a cool limited edition thing running, and there's a few left. I think we did like 660. We printed 660 of them, and it's got a digital download card. It's this really beautiful blue splatter vinyl, and so that's on my website, and then at duanebetts.com, and then all the social stuff. I mean, my Instagram's at Duane Betts, and I mean,
right on.
I think everybody knows how to do all that stuff.
And I look forward to hopefully be touring. You guys are supposed to be down here. Like, it's funny, when I made this interview, I was like, oh, cool, this is perfect. I'm gonna.
But it's May. In May?
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is great. I'll get to connect with Duane, and then I'll see him in a month when he comes down here. And I was
still might. We might see you. You know,
I hope you do. Not in a month, but I'm sure
in a month.
Yeah, it was like the end of this month, I think. I was like, oh, this is great, because I really dig your music, and I was like, oh, this is cool. You know, I can come see the show and blah blah blah. And I had Johnny on the show. I was like, anyway, but I will look forward to next time you're down. Everybody, check out Down to the River. It's a really cool record. I think you'll enjoy it if you like, good blues rock and roll. It's very authentic, very original, and it rocks. And look out for Duane Betts and Devon Allman on the road soon, man. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah. So I just, during this the whole coronavirus thing, I wanted to just inform people that Devon Allman, who obviously I'm in a band with, he's doing this really cool virtual concert series thing from his house, and all the proceeds from it are going to support our crew during this off time.
That's cool.
Because we don't know how long it's going to last, but he's doing, it's on his Facebook page, Devon Allman, and it's really cool. Like, he does, one night he'll do like all Stones, and then he'll do like requests, and then so there's different themes, and it's a pretty cool thing that he's doing to help out our guys, and so I'm sure he would appreciate, and I would appreciate, people going over to that and doing what they can. So
right on, man. And it's just on his Facebook page, Devon Allman.
Yeah, it's live streamed on his Facebook page. Yeah.
Very cool. It's like songs from his kitchen or something. That's what a lot of people are doing. Or songs from the living room, or songs from the Very cool, man.
Yeah, it's from the den or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a pretty cool thing that he's doing, and so I'm sure he'd appreciate me putting that out there for him.
Very cool. Is he out there in LA as well?
No, he's actually in St. Louis. He's from Texas. He was born in Corpus Christi, and then his mom, I think. Well, you'd have to ask him, but I think his mom remarried, and the gentleman that she was married to was in St. Louis.
Oh, very cool.
He moved to St. Louis, and then he raised, he has a son, and he's kind of raised his son in St. Louis. So that's kind of his home base.
Hang on, let me just wrap up. Everybody, thank you, man.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this, please share it on your social media channels. We appreciate your support. Thanks to Duane Betts for everything. I appreciate you being so sincere, man. It was very cool of you.
Yeah, man.
And most important, remember that happiness is a choice, especially now. So choose wisely. Be nice, go play your guitar, and have fun. Till next time, peace and love, everybody. I'm out. Thank you, brother.